The Rocking Al Show.
Understanding the difference between mental health and mental illness.
Everyone has mental health, but not everyone receives a diagnosis involving a mental illness. Mental health includes your overall well-being. Mental illnesses are diagnosable mental health conditions. The definitions of mental health and mental illness will vary, depending on who you ask. Even within the medical community, these terms have no single definition. But many agree that while mental illness falls under the umbrella of mental health, the two terms are not interchangeable. Just because your mental health is not in great shape doesn't always mean you have a mental illness, and just because you live with a mental illness doesn't necessarily mean your mental health is currently in a bad place. What is mental illness? Mental illnesses, also called mental health conditions or mental disorders, are diagnosable conditions. They often involve a highly distressing change in your thinking, emotions, or behaviors and can affect how you perform some daily activities. To receive a diagnosis involving any mental health condition, a mental health professional will interview you to learn about the symptoms you're experiencing, how long they've been happening, how severe they are, potential causes of your symptoms. Many people live with mental health conditions. More than 50% of all U.S. people will receive a diagnosis involving a mental health condition. In 2019, 1 in 8 people worldwide lived with a mental health condition. Depression and anxiety disorders were the most common. Other common mental health conditions include bipolar disorder, substance use disorders, schizophrenia, obsessive-compulsive disorder, eating disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, neurodevelopmental disorders like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism spectrum disorder, personality disorders. Language matters. While mental illness is still well known and used, many people prefer to use mental health condition. This helps us separate further from stigmatizing phrases like mentally ill. But the terms mental illness and mental disorders are still used widely, and opinions differ on how acceptable they are. Most communities do suggest avoiding terms such as mentally disabled or handicapped, mentally ill, crazy, insane, nuts, or psycho. So, what do I say? Instead of saying someone is mentally ill, say that person is living with a mental health condition. Was this helpful? What is mental health? According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, mental health includes your social, emotional, and psychological well-being. It's more than simply the absence of mental illness. The World Health Organization describes good mental health as someone being capable of effectively coping with stressors, learning and working well, contributing to their community. Still, mental health is complex, and your mental health will be unique to you. What looks like good mental health for one person won't be the same for someone else. Remember, you can have good mental health while living with a mental health condition. Remember that mental health is health. It's just as important as your physical health and an important part of your overall well-being. Frequently asked questions. Can you have poor mental health without a mental illness? Yes. Poor mental health doesn't mean you have a mental health condition. You can experience a low mood without living with depression or be anxious without having an anxiety disorder. Poor mental health might occur due to burnout, mental exhaustion or physical fatigue, grief, physical health conditions, stress. You could be having challenges with your mood, sleep, appetite, or performing daily activities for many reasons. It doesn't mean you fit the criteria of having a mental health condition. Can you have a mental illness with good mental health? Yes. This may seem confusing, as most symptoms of mental health conditions involve distress that can affect how you perform some daily activities. But many people live with mental illnesses that are in remission or stabilized with medication, therapy, and self-care tools. Their mental health may currently be in a good place, but that doesn't mean they don't live with a mental health condition. Can you prevent mental illness? There's no reliable way to prevent a mental illness from occurring. But a 2022 research review suggested that certain skills can reduce someone's chances of developing certain conditions, like learning about effective coping skills in early childhood. The concept of prevention is complex because many factors go into someone developing a mental health condition in the first place. Mental illnesses develop due to a combination of factors including genetics, brain chemistry, environmental factors, social determinants of health, early childhood experiences such as trauma or abuse, personality traits, other coexisting health conditions and substance misuse. If I'm not happy, is my mental health poor? Sometimes, mental health is defined with many positive descriptions, making it seem like someone with good mental health copes well with stressors and always feels happy or upbeat. But researchers in 2015 pointed out that people with good mental health can be sad, unhappy, and angry. These emotions are simply part of being human. You can be sad without having poor mental health, and you can be sad without having a mental illness. Tips to support your mental health and well-being. Just as your physical health changes over time, so does your mental health. What helps you cope with stress and take care of yourself will change, and that's okay. Many people face hard times that affect their mental well-being. Periods of good mental health then follow these. A good first step for supporting your mental health involves discovering coping skills that work well for you. These might include journaling, meditation or mindfulness practices, using cognitive behavioral therapy techniques like reframing, deep breathing exercises, moving your body in some way such as stretching, going for a walk and so on, listening to music, treating yourself to something nice after getting through something challenging, engaging in activities you find meaningful and enjoyable, like volunteering or gardening and spending time with friends and loved ones. When trying out different coping skills, it's okay to move on to trying something else if something doesn't feel effective. Other ways to support your mental health include taking breaks and unwinding. Make sure to avoid burnout by taking breaks, taking time off from work, and finding small moments to unwind and distress. Maintaining good physical health, practicing good nutrition, exercise, and sleeping habits can help you feel better both mentally and physically. Eating and sleeping well may also help on days when you're feeling low. Getting outside, there are physical and mental benefits to spending more time in nature. Even a brief walk outside can boost your well-being. If the weather isn't great, you could still try sitting at a window and watching the outside world for a bit. Finding your support system, whether your support system is family, friends, your community, a pet, or a combination of these and more, knowing who your support system is and reaching out to them is important. Social isolation can worsen mental health and make you feel alone. You're not alone. Going to therapy. Some people think therapy is only for someone with a mental health condition or that once they start, they have to talk with a therapist for the rest of their lives. You can talk with a therapist for as long or as little as you like. Therapy can benefit just about anyone. Learn more about its benefits. Reaching out to a professional. If you believe you might have symptoms of a mental health condition, a healthcare professional can help. They can screen you for a condition, refer you to a mental health professional, and suggest treatment options like medication, psychotherapy, and more. The bottom line: mental health is not mental illness. Mental health is your health and well-being. It can be great, poor, or somewhere in the middle. Many people experience ups and downs in their mental health, but it doesn't mean they have a mental illness. A mental illness is a health condition. Each mental health condition has its criteria for reaching a diagnosis. If you believe you might have a mental health condition, or your mental health feels like it's changed, you're not alone. You can find support in learning daily coping tools, taking care of your physical health, and contacting a professional for support or therapy. Thank you.
I hope you found this podcast informative. If you have any comments about this or the other episodes, please comment below. I'll be looking forward to reading them. Until next time, goodbye everybody. The Rockin' L Show.